Dear students, welcome to today's English class. Today we have Coursebook Unit 3, the importance of science. In the section 1, we see for a while misunderstood here. This extract is actually a newspaper article which is written by Jayant Vishnu Narlikar. This is written as a touching tribute to Stephen Hawking, a pathfinder in science and an outstanding cosmologist by India's best-known astrophysicist. This article came in the Times of India newspaper on 15th March 2018. Stephen Hawking passed away on 14th March 2018. The next day newspaper, Times of India newspaper, came with this article. This is written by Jayant Narlikar and it's as a tribute to Stephen Hawking. We will first of all see who is Stephen Hawking. Stephen William Hawking, he was born on 8 January 1942 and died on 14 March 2018. He was an English theoretical physicist, cosmologist and author who was director of research at the Center for Theoretical Cosmology at the University of Cambridge at the time of his death. He was the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at the University of Cambridge between 1979 and 2009. And our writer of this article, Jayant Vishnu Narlikar, he was born on 19 July 1938. He is an Indian astrophysicist and emeritus professor at the Indian University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. He developed with Sir Fred Hoyle the conformal gravity theory known as Hoyle-Narlikar theory. It synthesizes Albert Einstein theory of relativity and Mach's principle. The name of this unit 3 is the importance of science. We have a quotation there. Science is a beautiful gift to humanity. We should not distort it. This is being told by our APJ Abdul Kalam. Science is an important and integral part of our everyday life. We owe our gratitude to every scientist who made it possible for us to lead a life of comfort and excitement. From the invention of devices like the humble light bulb to mind-blowing exploration of space. Nowadays, we are living in a world of social distancing. You people are sitting at your home and myself sitting at my home, and I do teach you and you do attend my classes. We thank science for all these facilities. Without science, we couldn't imagine about these kind of things. It's only because of science I managed to take class with the comfort of my own home, and you manage to attend the classes with the comforts of your own home. You will see the activity given, warm-up activity given there. Have you ever thought of the contribution of Indians to science and technology? Match the names of some famous Indian scientists in column A with their major contributions and achievements in column B. Share your answers with your partner and check the answers given at the bottom. C.V. Raman, S.N. Bose, S. Chandrasekhar, Vikram Sarabhai, Birbal Sanghi, Har Gobind Khurana. In column B, a second column you have, he was a physicist who specialized in quantum mechanics, a class of particles. Boson is named after him. One is actually, that is, then B. He won the Nobel Prize in 1930 for his pioneering work on how light scatters. And C. He is considered a father of India's space program and helped set up the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. Then D, he was a paleobotanist who studied the fossils of the Indian subcontinent. And E, he shared the 1968 Nobel Prize for Medicine with two other scientists. His research contributed to advances in biotechnology and gene therapy. Then F, nephew of C.V. Raman, he won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1983 for his mathematical theory of black holes. One C.V. Raman. Who was C.V. Raman? He won the Nobel Prize in 1930 for his pioneering work on how light scatters. He was a physicist. Then 2, we have S.N. Bose. S.N. Bose, he was a physicist who specialized in quantum mechanics, a class of particles, bosons, is named after him. Then 3, S. Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar, the nephew of C.V. Raman, he won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1983 for his mathematical theory of black holes. Then 4, we have Vikram Sarabhai, that is C. He is considered the father of India's space program and helped set up the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. Then we have 5, Birbal Saini, that is B. He was a paleobotanist who studied the fossils of the Indian subcontinent. Then last and final one, Har Gobind Khurana, that is E. He shared the 1968 Nobel Prize for Medicine with two other scientists. His research contributed to advances in biotechnology and gene therapy. Now we will move to section 1. For a while, misunderstood him. Here is a touching tribute to Stephen Hawking, a pathfinder in science and an outstanding cosmologist by India's best-known astrophysicists. Before going to discuss this unit, I am going to play the audio of this unit. Kindly follow the audio and follow your textbook. Afterwards, I will discuss the chapter for you.
This is a story from the year 1963. A colleague from King's College, Cambridge, casually mentioned, "Do you know Stephen Hawking? Doctors recently told him that he has just about 2 years to live." I was shocked to hear this. Just about 2 years earlier, I had met him when both of us were working at the Royal Observatory, Greenwich, during summer vacations. Summers in England used to be enjoyable, a time to relax and have fun. As students, we would be given very little work. At Greenwich, we were put up at an ancient fort that had a lot of greenery and facilities for tennis, table tennis, and billiards. Games in which Stephen also took part, like any other student. Nobody ever thought at that time that Stephen had any physical disability. His speech was a little unclear, but since the English elite would speak in a similar fashion, I did not find anything amiss. I would think he acquired his accent at a big public school. There used to be a misunderstanding among people that those who spoke with an accent considered themselves special. I had a similar misunderstanding about Stephen. Not just me, even some of my English friends had the same perception. We told ourselves that this is how these Oxford students were. When Stephen received his degree from Oxford in 1962 and came to Cambridge to pursue a doctorate, we would meet every day. His style of speaking remained unchanged. When he spoke, some words would slip away. None of us knew that this was probably the first symptom of the disability that was slowly engulfing him. That is why, when I heard the news from my colleague, I was deeply shocked. Later I got to know that he had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a neuromuscular wasting disease, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Over time, the disease reduced his bodily control to the flexing of a finger and voluntary eye movements. Rapid changes in his physical condition were visible after he joined Cambridge. He would at times stumble while walking. But Stephen completed the PhD thesis and started further research. He did not require much help from his guide. During 1966-67, Stephen solved a difficult question regarding Einstein's theory of relativity. This was the time when his illness snatched away his ability to use his hands for writing. So he started doing calculations in his mind instead. His colleagues would listen to his unclear speech and note down the equations Stephen dictated. It wasn't surprising that every equation was perfect. Though his body failed him, Stephen used his brain and successfully continued his research. Between 1969 and 1973, Stephen presented an important theory on black holes. In 1974, he discovered that black holes could emit radiation, which was a surprising find. This was then called the Hawking effect. Stephen's success was powered as much by his determination as his first wife, who gave him immense support. In 1964-65, Stephen became friends with Jane Wilde and later they got married. Wasn't her decision to accept Stephen's disability and marry him an equally courageous one? They have 2 healthy children, a daughter and a son. When he lost his speech, Stephen started using a voice processor. During this time, he wrote A Brief History of Time. He proved wrong the doctors who had said that he had only 2 years to live. Undeterred by his disability, Stephen made path-breaking contributions in fundamental science. He showed how his disability never came in the way and continued to contribute to science until his brain was functional.
Dear students, I hope you carefully followed the reading. Now we will see the first paragraph. This is a story from the year 1963. A colleague from King's College, Cambridge, casually mentioned, "Do you know Stephen Hawking?" Doctors recently told him that he had just about 2 years to live. I was shocked to hear this. Just about 2 years earlier, I had met him when both of us were working at the Royal Observatory, Greenwich, during summer vacations. So this is being written by Jain Narlikar. He has come to, he gets the shock to know that Stephen Hawking will live only for 2 more years. Doctors have told him because they worked together 2 years before at the Royal Observatory. Summers in England used to be enjoyable, a time to relax and have fun. As students, we would be given very little work. At Greenwich, we were put up at an ancient fort that had a lot of greenery and facilities for tennis, table tennis, and billiards, games in which Stephen also took part like any other student. So they were students, so they enjoyed a lot in summers in England. And so they had a lot of time to relax and to have fun. As students, they were given only very little work. So they will get like a lot of time to go to that ancient fort and spend time there playing tennis, table tennis, billiards, such games. Stephen Hawking also took part, like all other students, all these games. Nobody ever thought at that time that Stephen had any physical disability. His speech was a little unclear, but since the English elite would speak in a similar fashion, I did not find anything amiss. I would think he acquired his accent at a big public school. There used to be a misunderstanding among people that those who speak with an accent consider themselves special. I had a similar misunderstanding about Stephen. Not just me, even some of my English friends had the same perception. We told ourselves that this is how these Oxford students were. And we remember the title of this unit. What was "For a While Misunderstood Him." So now we come to know that how the author of this article had a misunderstanding about Stephen Hawking. There are certain few new words we have to elite, a social group that is thought to be the best or most important because of its power, money, etc. Superior people. Amiss, wrong, not as it should be. Accent, a particular way pronouncing words that is connected with the country area or social class that you come from. Um, the way we speak, the intonation, the tone, the accent, that's what it is. So what nobody among the students, no one knew that Stephen Hawking had some kind of physical disability. The way he speak, which was little unclear for others, it was quite difficult to understand what he was saying. But since the English elite would speak in a similar fashion, certain English high class people will speak in such a way that no one could understand them, or it will be difficult for others to follow what they are saying. So they thought that it is a fashion, it's a style. So anything amiss. So the other or anybody else find anything wrong in the way he speak. So other thought that Stephen acquired this kind of accent from a big public school. Yes, students, those who go to a public schools or English medium schools. In England, everybody goes to English medium schools, quite okay. There are certain schools which give more importance to the way people speak and language skills and so on. So other thought that he had been to such a big public school, that's why he speak in such a way. Among the people, there was such a kind of misunderstanding among the people that to speak those who are certain accent are considered as suspicious. So other also had the same misunderstanding about the Stephen Hawking, that he is speaking in such a different way because of the way he got education in the school. Even not only other, some English friends also have the same feeling. That's why this Stephen is speaking in that way. So that's why we told ourselves that this is how these Oxford students were. Oxford students are like that. They always told themselves. When Stephen received his degree from Oxford in 1962 and came to Cambridge to pursue a doctorate, we would meet every day. His style of speaking remained unchanged. When he spoke, some words would slip away. None of us knew that this was probably the first symptom of the disability that was slowly engulfing him. That is when I heard the news from my colleague, I was deeply shocked. Symptom, a change in your body, that is a sign of illness. Engulfing here, affecting him very strongly. In 1962, after completing his degree in Oxford University, Stephen Hawking came to Cambridge to go take a doctorate. So the author and Stephen Hawking, both of them met each other every day. They were meeting every day. His style of speaking remained unchanged. Stephen Hawking his accent was the way a little bit, it was not so clear. When he spoke, some words would even slip away. Yes, none of us knew that this was probably the first symptom, but nobody noticed that this first symptom of some kind of physical disability that is going to happen to our Stephen Hawking. But that slowly engulfing means affecting. Yes, slowly a kind of disease was attacking Stephen Hawking, but no one understood it, maybe including Stephen Hawking, no idea. That is why I heard the news. That's the reason when Nalikar heard about the disease, about the news about Stephen Hawking, he got shocked. Yes, they were friends, they were colleagues, they were co-students. Later I got to know that he had amyotrophical lateral sclerosis, a neuromuscular wasting disease, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. All these terms are very new for me also, and probably for you too. Explanation also given there. Amyotrophical lateral sclerosis, that's the name. What it is? It's a neuromuscular wasting disease, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. All three names are for one disease, but we don't understand it. Anyway, it's a kind of disease. What will happen? Over time, the disease reduces his bodily control to flexing or finger voluntarily eye movements. What are flexing? Moving his finger. Yes. He gets paralyzed. He is not able to move. He is not able to, including his finger. What? Everywhere. Voluntary means able to control the movement of his eyes. Even that is eye movements. Rapid changes in physical condition were visible after he joined Cambridge. There is change in his body shape. He would at times stumble while walking. Sometimes he will fall down. But Stephen completed the PhD thesis and started further research. But he managed to complete his doctorate. He did not require much help from his guide. Even without guide means not for walking or doing, but for his studies and completing his doctorate. The teacher who helped him with his research. So once he joined Cambridge, all of a sudden all these problems came there. He had difficulty for everything. So his appearance even changed. We will see next paragraph then. During 1966 and 67, Stephen solved a difficult question regarding Einstein's theory of relativity. This was the time when his illness snatched away his ability to use his hands for writing. So he started doing calculation in his mind instead. His colleagues would listen to his unclear speech and note down the equations Stephen dictated. It wasn't surprising that every equation was perfect. Here, equation means a statement showing that two amounts or values are equal. In mathematics, in physics, and science, you will come across equations. So in the time years of 66 and 1966 and 1967, Stephen Hawking solved difficult questions regarding Einstein's theory of relativity. That is a time Stephen was attacked by his disease. He was not able to use his hands for writing. That was snatched away. He was no more able to write with his hands. So he started doing his calculation. We will do calculation using pen and pencil on a piece of paper. He is not able to write. So he started to do it in his mind, in his brain. So his colleagues, his fellow scientists with him would listen to his unclear speech and they will note down the equations Stephen dictated. It was surprising that every equation was perfect. This Stephen was such a brilliant scientist. Though he was not able to write, he was not able to move, he was able to think and imagine or scientifically think. He was such a brilliant scientist. All his equations were correct. Though his body failed him, Stephen used his brain and successfully continued his research. This is what I have told in the previous paragraph. Though he physically, bodily he was failed, his brain, that was a wonderful thing. He was successfully continued his research. Between 1969 and 1973, Stephen presented an important theory on black holes. In 1974, he discovered that black holes could emit radiation, which was a surprising find. This was then called the Hawking effect. Black hole. What is a black hole? An area in space that nothing, not even light, can escape from because gravity is so strong there. That is in the space. Don't worry. Radiation, heat, energy, etc. That is sent out in form of rays. Between 1969 and 73, Stephen presented an important theory on black holes. In 1974, he discovered that black holes could emit a radiation, which was a surprising find. This was called, that is being called the black holes emitting radiation. That theory is called, that surprising find is being called the Hawking effect. Stephen's success was powered as much by his determination as his first wife, who gave him immense support. His success powered much by the help of his first wife, powered by, strongly supported by. In 1964 and 65, Stephen became friends with Jane Wilde and later they got married. Wasn't her decision to accept Stephen's disability and marry him an equally courageous one. They have two healthy children, a daughter and a son. In 60, though he was physically disabled, Jane Wilde, she came there to marry him. 64 and 65, they became friends and they got married. And it was her decision to support him. Though he was disabled, marry him equally courageous one. That means Stephen Hawking continued his pursuing his research and so on, though he was physically disabled. And that was a courageous decision. Along with that, a lady's decision to take care of this disabled one as his husband was also a courageous decision. They had two healthy children, a daughter and a son. When he lost his speech, Stephen started using a voice processor. During this time, he wrote a brief history of time. He proved wrong the doctors who had said that he had only 2 years to live. Undeterred by his disability, Stephen made path-breaking contributions in fundamental science. He showed how his disability never came in the way and continued to contribute to science until his brain was functional. Here a few words. Voice processor, the computerized handling of voice, which includes voice store and forward, voice response, voice recognition, and text-to-speech technologies. Our Stephen Hawking was not able to speak. So what will happen? He used a machine. That machine will produce sound as per the signals he gives. And doctors told him he will live only for 2 more years. But he proved undeterred means undeterred by. If somebody is undeterred by something, they do not allow it to stop them from doing something. The doctors told that he didn't stop. His disability did not stop him. He continued his pursuit in science. He continued his studies. He continued his research. Stephen made path-breaking contributions to fundamental science. He showed his disability never came in the way to continue to contribute to science until his brain was functional. Only brain in his body was functional. This is written by Jayant Narlikar from the Times of India. Jane 15, March 2018. Yes, students, I hope you all understood this little article about Stephen Hawking. You have to find out. I will provide you more information about Stephen Hawking in Google Classroom. You should find out more about this modern scientist. We have few question answers. We will go to that one. Answer these questions by referring to the specific context mentioned. I was shocked to hear this. Paragraph 1. What does this refer to? This refers to the news which doctors had told Stephen Hawking that he had just about 2 years to live. Nobody ever thought at that time that Stephen had any physical disability. Paragraph 3. What is that time a reference to? That time refers to the time when the writer and Stephen Hawking were working together at the Royal Observatory, Greenwich. We told ourselves that this is how these Oxford students were. It refers to students who were from Oxford University like Stephen Hawking. Then D. That is why when I heard the news, I was deeply shocked. Paragraph 4. What is the news a reference to? The news is in reference to Stephen Hawking's life-threatening disability. This was then called the Hawking effect. Paragraph 7. What does this refer to? Between 1969 and 1973, Stephen presented an important theory on black holes. In 1974, he discovered that black holes could emit radiation, which was a surprising find. This was then called the Hawking effect. Say whether these statements are true or false. This activity is very simple. I am not going to give you answers here. You have to do it yourself in your textbook. Kindly read the article, this passage 2 or 3 times, then try to do it. So dear students, today's online class has come to an end. Kindly complete your notes, write copy books, and Until we meet in the next English class, thank you. Take care.